Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about a really troubling revelation of an opinion from the Office of Legal Counsel that was sought and given in the summer before all the strikes against Venezuelans that opined, as OLC does, that people taking part in military strikes on the alleged drug trafficking boats in Latin America would not be subject to prosecution. First thing we learn about this, the people were nervous and worried that they would be. We have a whole tradition in the country about involvement in illegal orders and compliance with them and how they can potentially lead to liability. And you have apparently a whole number of high-level military folks being very concerned about it. Maybe most prominent, Admiral Alvin Halsey, who was the head of Southern Command, sought caution about these very strikes, reports the Washington Post based on reporting, wanted to make sure that none of this could result in liability. And the OLC issues an opinion. The strikes, by the way, there have been some 19 or 20, 75 people killed. And just, to go to the heart of things, we're talking about basically just killing people who are alleged, it's not even clear in all cases accurately, to be drug traffickers, not at war with us or the like. And that is huge for these kinds of strikes in the absence of allowance under international law. It looks like flat out homicide, flat out murder. And you have this, it's clear that this a little bit like, it's going to be reminiscent of the torture memos after 9/11. And you have the assertions by the Pentagon, oh, the lawyers did it. And, up and down the chain, we got, that's precisely, in fact, what the spokesperson of the Pentagon saying, lawyers up and down the chain of command have been thoroughly involved in reviewing these operations prior to execution. No lawyers question the legality. Well, we'll have to exhume that a little bit more because actually an expert here also deeply involved, as it turns out, in the Chicago v. Illinois case. You're going to be hearing a long interview with me and him tomorrow. Marty Lederman says flat out, I don't know anyone else in domestic law or international law, and he really knows this area extremely well, that anyone's argued that introducing drugs into a country is the sort of organized violence that can trigger an armed conflict and give the nation the right to kill people merely because they're part of an alleged enemy force. So the nub of the OLC opinion is that we are in, with people who sell drugs, a quote, non-international armed conflict. So you could analogize it, say, to 9/11, and a armed conflict has a special is a special term of art under international law, and it gives rise to a lot of powers to the president to do the sorts of things you do in wartime, when, for example, you can shoot and kill people on the other side without regard to probable cause or what's found to be, as opposed to people you prosecute for offenses against the United States. And that's what drug traffickers normally would be. So we are treating drug traffickers, and to some reports, really kind of small level, tawdry, fishing boat, little bit of drugs, traffickers, as the equivalent of wartime combatants, and that we are killing boom. And think about this. This is going to get bigger, not smaller. If that were accurate, basically, anytime the U.S. thinks there's a drug salesman or a drug ring anywhere, they can just dump bombs on them the same way they did in wartime, or with Osama bin Laden. You can go and do flat out killing operations without any kind of need for finding everything you would have to punish people under the criminal law, right? Probable cause beyond a reasonable doubt, etc. So this is a really controversial area. We very possibly, as has happened with the torture memo, will wind up looking terrible. Who knows what will happen to the individuals who will claim the lawyers said it was okay, the lawyers said that it was okay. But just as with the torture memos, the opinion here, still classified, but Post is reporting on it, is going to be big. It's going to be the shield that the people who are involved in the operations use, and out of conscious awareness that, excuse me, what are we doing? Just blowing up and murdering people because of drug trafficking. They're involved in drug trafficking. Can we do that? And the answer seems to be under international law. No, of course you can't. But here's the lawyer opinion that says you can. Go for it. This is a legal scandal in the making, and the OLC is at the center of it, exactly as it was for the torture memos after 9/11. Stay tuned. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.